Nah. Nah. The snow. The snow falls. The snow falls silent and soft as cat feet. Let's get this thing going. How are you? I know I've been bad about writing. I won't say I've been too busy. It's just my life is duller than white bread. But something a little weird has happened that kind of concerns you, so I thought I should get off my ass. Remember Cameron and Rusty? Of course you do. Hell, you were closer to them than I was. Well, the other day, I ran into Cameron on Broadway after who knows how many years. He looked as if time had passed him by. I have no idea what he was doing in New York, but then he could have said the same thing about me, I suppose. Anyway, after the handshaking, back-slapping thing, we slipped into a bar, took a booth, and a couple of hours and too many whiskey sours later, we were pretty much caught up. We talked about you and Sally and Ginger and work and all the rest, and were maybe running out of things to share when I thought to ask Cameron if he was still in touch with Rusty. He said he hadn't heard from him in years. The drinks made me a little friskier than normal, so without thinking much about what I was saying, I asked him point blank what we all wanted to know back in the day, namely whether he and Rusty had been a couple. Okay, I'm as blunt and stupid as ever. Not everyone has your finesse. He laughed and took it in stride. No, sorry to disappoint, he said. Just a couple grad students with opinions stronger than reason. I remember the two of you were hammering tongs over Boccaccio, of all things. He laughed again. Yeah, sure enough, but I bet you don't know how far we took it. I can't imagine taking Boccaccio anywhere. Have you read the Decameron? You may remember literature was never my thing. He smiled. Yeah, well, there's one story in which two guys promise each other that whoever dies first will come back to tell the other what life after death is like. So? Well, after our public shouting match in the department, we took it to whatever the hell the name of that bar was on Figueroa, and after arguing about the story, and Boccaccio, and Pasolini's movie, and all sorts of crap, we decided to make the same pledge. You know, just the kind of insane shit you say when you've had 3 too many. For some reason, though, that pledge has always stuck with me. I probably said something inane in reply, but like I said, we were running out of war stories, and a little while later, we poured ourselves back onto the street to go our separate ways. That's not the end of the story, though. Do you keep up with alumni news? Probably not. Apparently, Rusty took the off-ramp recently after making better than he had a right, but seems he was a frequent donor to the good old alma mater, which, given how he used to talk about the place, I thought was pretty funny. There was a photo spread showing him at a recent ribbon cutting, and aside from a mustache, it was the same freckled practical joker we all knew. Reading about him after seeing Cameron seemed like just one of life's weird little coincidences, but only the next day I ran into him again, this time in the lobby of the plaza. We were at opposite ends of the room, but could easily see each other, so I waved hi. He didn't respond. In fact, he looked downright bewildered. I thought it was a little rude, but dismissed it until later when I saw him again just outside the entrance to the main dining room. This time, we were too close not to say something to each other, so I made a point of forcefully saying hi, but once again he tried to ignore me. I couldn't resist sarcasm. I'm sorry if I offended you saying hello. He looked at me, or really through me, then stammered, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, but seeing you after seeing Rusty, well, it's like ghosts from my past. What do you mean, I asked, seeing Rusty. Yeah, he said, this morning, just before I saw you in the lobby, I passed him outside the elevators and he ignored me just as badly as I treated you. And now again. I blurted out, but don't you know, Cameron? Rusty died weeks ago. He looked completely confused. But But that can't be. I swear, it was him, right down to the freckles. Maybe it was his doppelganger, I suggested. But obviously a stranger, I said, then turned it into a joke. Maybe he thought you were a New York weirdo cruising the hotels. You'll be one of his stories when he gets back to Iowa. He took that in. The hustle and bustle around us was like a kind of soothing balm, and after a minute or two, he relaxed a little. The resemblance was uncanny, he said, shaking his head. But of course it must have been a stranger. After all, Rusty never wore a mustache.